tell him that I always think of the circus story that I got from my old pal, Frank Brugman. That was Tom Brugman's father, and he was always at least 80, maybe 90, but I knew him for a long time. A wonderful man. And he had a connection back to his high school days where he had a circus worker that was one of his best friends. And so when the circus would come to the greater Boston area, his friend would always had a connection to get a job there. And it was the job that we all the guys in the ice fishing group thought was a very funny story until we'd heard it about 10 times, and then we used to bury our heads in our winter coats when he'd start to tell it. But anyhow, his friend worked with the animal act, the elephants. And this is sadly is the year that the elephants were retired. Frank Brugman's friend used to get a job every season when the circus, you have to understand, the circus would start in Sarasota area, and then its first public appearance would be in Tampa. So they did the whole circus thing, put everybody in the elephants and all on a train, and took them from Sarasota up to Tampa, marched them to wherever it was going to be, the fairgrounds or wherever, and put on the first paid with tickets performance. I don't know what else to call it. But that's where Frank's friend would, no, I guess he'd do it a couple performances later when they got to Boston. But it was very quick after that. Anyhow, his job was, he was called a puller outer. This is pretty gross. I hope Jeff will be able to share it with somebody. But the puller outer was a guy with big, long rubber gloves. Thick ones. I mean, the kind that workers work with, you know. Not surgeons, but workers. And he had to go in the back end of these elephants and pull whatever was waiting to be dropped out onto a big wide shovel and shovel it into the elephant poop pile, you know. So he was called a puller outer. And we were all pleased to know a man that during most of his teenage life knew a puller outer. And that's the end of the story. But that's a fairly good Brugman story.
I had no idea it was going this way.
I know. I'm sorry I told you it was a circus story. But you don't know what those elephants, they have to do that.